Before the break, we gave you a pop quiz. In 1905, an 11-year-old boy accidentally invented what favorite American treat? If you said A, you know your sweet tooth treat history. Young Frank Epperson left a mixture of powdered soda, water, and a stirring stick in a cup on his porch. It was a cold night, and when the preteen woke up the next morning, he found the frozen pop. His invention has changed the color of millions of tongues since. That's the Mo You Know. Drones. I've heard a lot about these unmanned aircraft being used in war. But now when we look up, we may all be saying, "I spy an eye in the sky." Here's Adam Yamaguchi.
What is a drone? It's a UAV, or unmanned aerial vehicle. They look like toy model planes, futuristic helicopters, even birds. But they have one thing in common: a camera that can transmit video images from higher altitudes back to Earth, revolutionizing the way we see our world. Sparking controversy and concern that increasing drone use can lead to unwanted surveillance and invasion of privacy. But with innovative thinking, the positive, practical applications are endless. I traveled to Simi Valley, California, and met with Stephen Gitlin of AeroVironment, one of the leading developers in drone technology, to learn more about how drones are becoming part of our everyday lives.
What we think is going to happen is that for specific cases, organizations are going to have these to perform their jobs more effectively and more safely.
It looks like a hummingbird, it flies like a hummingbird, but guess what? It's a drone.
This is called the Nano Hummingbird, and the point was to see what we could do to build something very small and use new technology, something that hadn't been done before.
I was amazed by how small and lifelike this little hummingbird is. But even more incredible is what it might do in the future, such as searching for people trapped in small spaces after a natural disaster and saving lives. Looking at these drones up close is incredible, but I wanted to see them in action. I went with Steve and drone pilot Eric Thompson to AeroVironment's testing grounds.
What are some of the more practical applications of a drone?
Agriculture is an example. Being able to monitor the fence line, inspecting infrastructure like pipelines, electric transmission systems, bridges, roads, dams, all of those can be done very economically and quickly and safely with an unmanned aircraft system.
And launching.
Piloting a drone takes skill and training, a lot of hand-eye coordination, something drone pilots have been practicing since they were kids.
I mean, it seems like it's just like a video game control, essentially. Did you play video games?
I did play a lot of video games as I did, and it is an advantage.
And did your mom yell at you?
She did, and now she regrets it.
Yeah. I'm gonna see what this drone is capable of, so we're gonna play a little game of hide and seek. I'm gonna run out into the field and see how long it takes for this thing to find me.
So let's see, how long will it take you to spot Adam hiding out there?
All right, just give me a few minutes here. I have found him.
There he is.
There he is. Stop. Zoom in on the target, confirm, and there he is.
What is that, about 90 seconds?
Right.
Mission accomplished.
Drone technology is making its way into other industries as well, like the movies. I went to Malibu to meet up with the drone dudes, guys who design and build their own drones to get aerial shots for films, TV shows, and commercials that would have been impossible or outrageously expensive to capture in the past.
Playing with and operating these drones is like a guy's dream. I mean, this must be a lot of fun for you.
There's a whole new world of creativity that comes with this type of technology, and fly the most amazing shots you could dream of.
So you're controlling the camera here.
Oh, yeah.
This image is, it's incredible.
These amazing images clearly show how drones can be used in unlimited, creative ways.
Drones are here to stay. From law enforcement to agriculture to creative filmmaking, the drone invasion has begun. And I gotta say, it's gonna be an exciting new age. I'm Adam Yamaguchi.
Wind. It's been a source for power and hair care commercials since the beginning of time. As for windmills, well, it seems people that make them go by the theory that size matters. The bigger, the better. Make them huge, capture that wind. Well, I'm about to burst the bigger is better bubble. We've built ginormous wind turbines on vast windmill farms, generating gigawatts of electricity to power entire cities and, most importantly, television sets. But this is the future of the windmill. Sleek, high-tech, and able to fit on a grain of rice. It's nearly imperceptible. Someday, it will charge your smartphone. Research scientists J.C. Chow and Smitha Rao from the University of Texas Arlington had developed micro-windmills as a way to generate power for small, vital devices, like sensors and lights for roads and bridges.
One day I saw my daughter running around with a pinwheel. The pinwheel has this nice little bend at the tip and towards the center that makes it rotate faster. And I was like, that's it. That's my idea. My daughter has given me my solution.
The solution was using a series of steps on the windmill's blades to catch the wind and to build it out of a super strong nickel alloy.
We brought out this huge leaf blower and kind of turned it away from it, and it was still moving. It's like, okay, let me aim it on it. And I got so excited I forgot that the windmill was not really held in place. This tiny windmill in this big lab goes flying away. And I said, there goes my research, there goes my future.
Miraculously, Smitha found the windmill. But just how much power can these windmills generate?
We can put hundreds or thousands into an area. Each one of them may generate a certain amount of energy, but if you time that number by 1,000, that become a big number.
Imagine 1,000 micro windmills embedded in your smartphone, keeping it charged just by walking with it in your hand.
How about we shrink down Mo?
Or maybe we'll put more on the head of the penny.
Hey, hey, hey! I said think small, not make me small. Wow, this is amazing!
Wow, that's tiny.
I feel like Abe Lincoln's dandruff. So this is the world's first micro windmill. Can someone take a picture? Thanks. Okay, make me big again. A flea just winked at me.
We're kind of working on it.
Okay.
Wait a while.
Okay, fine. But I'm thirsty right now. How about a drop of water? Careful, I don't want to drown. Drown me right now. Coming up, vocabulary. Get ready to be schooled. We'll be right back.
This is Vocabulary, where each week we explain some of the fancier words that popped up in the show. Now, in Mo's story about Thomas Edison's lab, he said,
Inside, it's a glass menagerie of innovation and history.
the word menagerie is a noun. It means a collection of wild or unusual animals, especially for exhibition. But in calling it a glass menagerie, it implies that there are all sorts of different glass jars and containers. In Mo's report on micro windmills, he said,
Sleek, high-tech, and able to fit on a grain of rice. It's nearly imperceptible.
Imperceptible is an adjective. It means not perceptible by a sense or by the mind. So in short, it means they were so small you could barely see them. Now, if the glass menagerie was imperceptible, well, then the glass maker probably wasted his or her time. I mean, let's be honest. Go out, use these words, and dazzle your friends. That is your vocabulary lesson for the day. I'm Allie Ward.
Hey, thanks for joining us today. Someday, you too can be a part of the Henry Ford's Innovation Nation. Just remember, dream big, don't quit. I'm Mo Rocca.